بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
إنك لا تنادي فهبوا يا بني قومي أسودا أعيدوا للدنا أمجاد عصر وفلوا بالحديد لنا القيودا.
Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. I'm making this video because I was recommended by a subscriber of mine. He's a Christian and I've known him for a while now, and I will keep him anonymous until he tells me whether I can actually use his name or if he makes himself known in the comments section. But he will know, no doubt he will know that I'm referring to him in particular because of what I'm about to say in this video. I was recommended by this associate of mine because he'd watched my video review of the movie documentary Obsession, where I'll put that link in the description section of this video, but basically where I proved that for those who hate Islam to use the movie Obsession as some sort of evidence against Islam and therefore all Muslims is a ridiculous claim, and I will not waste any more time on that documentary or that video because, like I said, I'll put it in the description section and you can watch it for yourself. Now, the thing is that he recommended that since I did this movie review, he was interested in me doing a movie review on the movie entitled Islam, What the West Needs to Know. Now, what's interesting is that I have already watched this video. In fact, I watched this documentary a while ago. I believe you can find it in pieces on various places in the internet, and so I remember watching it when it was divided into like separate video uploads. And I watched it very early on when I was studying Islam for the first time, and what's interesting is that my attitude towards it then is still the attitude I hold towards it now. However, I've learned a lot since then, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. A little bit of background, just to showcase who is in the film, and right now I'm on their website for the documentary itself. And there are a number of people that I recognize. In fact, I recognize all of them with the exception of two of the featured authors that are in this documentary. Now, I want to point something out that, and I'll explain why I bring this up in general, is that the panel of people in this documentary are not scholars of any sort. They are not people who have really, I guess you could say, studied religion as a profession. If by profession we can say they are professionals because they are authors of a book, then maybe we could call them that. But you'll understand what I mean in a moment here. For example, the first guy, the crowning jewel of this documentary, and any of you who have been watching my videos know his name very well, and he is named Robert Spencer. He's the director of jihadwatch.org and the author of many books. On the website, he is featured with a book called The Truth About Muhammad, the founder of the world's most intolerant religion. Now, I'll post a link to my blog, because for those of you interested in seeing how I refuted his first book, The Politically Incorrect Guide to Islam, I made a whole video series regarding that book. Please, by all means, go ahead and watch that. I'll post the link in my blog. The second individual is named Walid Shobat, and he's the author of Why I Left Jihad, and he claims to have been a former PLO terrorist Muslim who converted to evangelical Christianity. Now, I myself have not refuted Walid Shobat before, but I think this will be a first time when I refute this documentary. But a brother here on YouTube by the name of Mr. Islam Answers Back, and I'll be posting his link to his YouTube account, has done a wonderful job exposing Walid Shobat for basically being a fraud and a liar. The other individual I'm very familiar with is named Serge Chervok, who wrote the book The Sword of the Prophet. And I've read this book, and again, in my opinion, is akin to trash. The other two individuals I was not familiar with before watching the film. The first one was a woman named Bat Yahor, who wrote The Decline of Eastern Christianity Under Islam. And the other individual is named Abdullah al-Arabi. He's a director of the Pen versus the Sword publications, and he's written several books that basically are akin to mass paranoia. What I mean by that is that he has titles such as this Islamization of America. He says the Islamic strategies and the Christian responses. Islam Unveiled, another one. Snatched from the lion's jaws, another one called the Islamization of American schools, and the other one called the Priest and the Prophet. In other words, this guy makes his living off of freaking people out. Okay, that's his sole purpose, is to make people paranoid. Okay, so having said that, let's go back to the actual documentary. So now that I've given each of these wonderful characters a little introduction, in this video, I am basically going to go through the About the Movie section. Now see, for my friend who recommended I watch the video, I actually have rewatched the video. I've made notes, and I believe this is going to have to be a series, actually. So congratulations, you have, interesting enough, coerced me into making a video series based on totally dethroning this documentary. But let's go through some of the outlines. Now, because this is an outline, I'm going to read what the outline says in basically a very basic response for what they say. And it's a summary of the 6 parts of the documentary. In part 1, it's called There's No God But Allah, and Muhammad is His Prophet. The website clearly says, our interviewees affirm their belief that Islamic violence is entirely orthodox behavior for Muslims and stems directly from the teachings and examples of the Prophet Muhammad and the commands of the Quran. We learn that the example of Muhammad is one of a violent warlord who killed numerous people. The Quran, the verbatim words of Allah, prescribe violence against non-Muslims, and Muhammad is a perfect example of the Quran in action. So, one theme you're going to find with this documentary is that they don't ever give you the full story. So for them to say that Muhammad was a warlord, he killed numerous people, they don't give you any sort of information about what that means at all, even in the outline. Let alone do they really do it in the documentary itself. Part 2 is called The Struggle, where it says we learn that jihad literally means struggle. In fact, it's war fought against non-Muslims in order to bring the rule of Islamic law to the world. Violent death in jihad is, according to the Quran, the only assurance of salvation. One of our interviewees tells his personal involvement in terrorism and is leaving Islam. While this outline shows a profound ignorance of salvation in Islam and what jihad really connotates, the fact that they're alluding to Walid Shobat telling his personal story about being a terrorist is kind of ironic. Because, as I said, Mr. Islam Answers Back has proven that Mr. Shobat was never a PLO terrorist and is a fraud. Okay, so I'll post this link in the description section, but yada yada yada. Let's go down a little bit more here. Part 6 is called The House of War. Again, it's ironic because it says Islamic theology divides the world into 2 spheres locked in perpetual combat: Dar al-Islam, House of Islam, and Dar al-Harb, House of War, which is the rest of the world. It's incumbent upon Dar al-Islam to fight and conquer Dar al-Harb and permanently assimilate it. Muslims in Western nations are called to subvert the secular regimes in which they now live in, according with Allah's command. Due to political correctness and general government and media irresponsibility, the danger posed by observant Muslims in the West remains largely unappreciated. The thing is that these ignorant people who claim this is part of Islamic theology, to me, it's hilarious, because in a book I have on Islamic Sharia law, the world, according to medieval scholars, again, these terms started to be really used in the medieval period for Muslims, is actually divided into three lands. Alright? The place where Muslims in Sharia law is the norm. The second is the place where you have non-Muslim lands that are run by non-Muslims which abuse and subjugate and oppress and are at war with Muslims. That would be Dar al-Harb. The third land is a place where it's run by non-Muslims, but the rulers and the society allow Muslims to live peacefully and practice their religion, and Muslims are allowed to live there as citizens of that said country. Why these people don't bring that up, I have no idea. But anyway, this is a quick summary. This is like a little intro to the people in the video, what I'm going to say about the video, and thank you for the person who told me to watch this video again, because I'll tell you one thing, after doing about 2 years worth of studying after originally watching this, I have come to find out, and considering the fact that I own pretty much every material, or have access to every material they use in the documentary, it's come to my conclusion that this documentary, through and through, is nothing more than a pack of bigoted lies against the religion of Islam. But don't take my word for it completely, and don't take this video as the only proof. God willing, I will be making a whole video series that utterly refutes the people in this video and showing them once again for being the liars and the deceivers that they really are. Thank you everyone for watching. Peace be with you all.